Happy Monday, everyone. I missed Friday. Sorry about that. I'm getting over a cold and just did vacation Bible school with 8 kindergartners last week. So I was a little run down. And, but I think I have a good video here ready to dig into, to explore. Not doing galleries. We're going to take a breather from that. And instead, there's something I've been wanting to do, but I've had to take the time to make it more flexible and modular, I guess, if that's the right word. We're going to build a mega menu using GeneratePress elements and GenerateBlocks. It does take a little bit of coding, and I know there's been other methods out there that show how to do this. One's using hooks, I think, where you can put in like a code snippet that injects a WordPress hook, a custom hook, into your WordPress menu. And this works kind of like that, but we're going to use HTML templates. And templates, it's an element, a tag type in HTML made for JavaScript type stuff. It's basically a hidden element that you can go snag with JavaScript and do things with it. And that's what I did. So I did this for a bank project where I had to build out a design that was built by another agency, and they had a big menu. And that was the first time I've had to build something like that. And so it took me a while to come up with exactly how I wanted to do it. And so this is based on that, but I've made it so I can reuse it for different projects, and you can too. So I've put the code already up that we're going to be using in a gist. And I'm sorry, I may have to pause every now and then and blow my nose or cough or whatever. But anyway, I really am. I'm feeling much better now. Excuse me. So yeah, so we're going to add a template tag to our list of elements that we can pick and assign to our GenerateBlocks containers. We're going to need a little bit of CSS styling to make the Dropdown take up the entire width of the page, and you can fiddle with it how this is going to appear in GenerateBlocks if you want to. And here's the big one. It's quite a lot, but the great thing about it is you don't have to really do anything to it. We will need some specific class names, and I'll probably list them out up here in the comments or create a little bit more of a description that's helpful. So I have my cheat site open in my other monitor over here with a working version, and I'm not going to show it to you so we can all be surprised. Excuse me. But yeah, so that's what we're going to build, and I'm going to jump right into this. And first of all, I need to log in. I forgot to do that. Yeah. So first, I guess we need to go over here and create some drop-down items. Open. So I put something under about and maybe typography. I don't know. Just we're going to just make some custom. So we want this to be, my whole thought behind doing this thing in JavaScript was to make like a progressive enhancement kind of thing. That's a term where like, it's certainly nothing I came up with. It's been around for a long time. So build the site out to work without JavaScript. And then you use JavaScript to layer a functionality on top of it to make it progressively enhanced. But if for some reason the user has no JavaScript, it will still work just fine and they can still access the content. Just the JavaScript version is visually better, supposedly. So for example, if I had, and let me pull up my cheat version over here just so I can make sure I'm telling you right, because I still have to reference this stuff. There's so much. Web development is become quite the complex beast. Let's see my menus. So at first I was going to tell you just to create a custom link, and it can go to nothing, and it's just going to be the container for our mega menu. But let's say, for example, the about section held our team, and it held news, and I know components. That's maybe it held topography too. Sure, why not? And I have all this sign up stuff. Maybe I'll show you guys how I did that as well at some point. Let's see. So about team. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make this into a mega menu. Okay. So what I need to do, and this is not going to do anything yet, I'm going to assign the parent item has big drop down. I got really creative with the class names, and you can make these whatever you want. They just need to match up in the CSS and the JavaScript. And then the first child item needs to have big drop down. And I need to name it something unique. So the first one is a standard class, has to have that class. And then the second one is an identifier of some sort. And I'm going to show you how that matches up. You know what? Hang on just a second. I'm going to double check something. Okay. Yep. I told you wrong. So scratch that. So I had thought that I could supply multiple items under here. And I was wrong, because essentially what we're doing is we're going to replace the contents of this item. And I'll show you that. But so for right now, and I may change that, because technically this is not progressive enhancement, because we just have this container of a drop-down item. So I'm rethinking that, but I'm still going to show you how this works. So we're going to create our own custom link and just call it drop-down container of some sort. So now that I'm doing this, I'm kind of disappointed in myself because I really didn't do this the way that I should have done it. But I'll show you the way this works. Big drop down, and we'll just call it mega menu 1. Okay. We're going to save that. And we should get the usual. Yeah, we get a drop down. Okay. Let's change in the customizer. Let's change it from a hover to a click, because I think that's going to get us more of the behavior that we want. Or at least that I prefer. Yeah, we'll do the menu item. Okay, so now, oh fudge, it doesn't work in the customizer. Okay, whatever. And that might be something that I've done. I don't know. Okay, so now we get into the scripty bits. So let's look at. I don't remember which. Okay, yeah, I've got 2 windows open. One's my cheat code stuff. Okay, so I'm going to pull. You know what? We can just pull straight from the gist if you like. So can I pull this raw? Yeah. I'm going to drop this into the CSS. Not the right one. That's the right one. And I drop it under my header and nav section. Okay. So I won't go through all these, but essentially it kind of resets some things so that our animations work, the fade in, fade out. Getting rid of some preset styles, like there's a box shadow on the drop down submenu. setting up transitions so that that fade does well, and some positioning stuff so that the new mega menu takes up the entire width of the page, or of the viewport, should I say, rather. So yeah, so that's what that does. And I've tried to make it only as specific as it needs to be. And one of the things we're going to talk about is CSS specificity. CSS specificity. Say that 5 times fast. Save that. Okay, and now we're going to switch to our scripty bits. And we're going to do a couple of things. Yeah, so first of all, we need this. Okay, and I'm not going to grab this part because I already have this set up. Oh, fudge. So basically, this is a JavaScript event listener. It's saying when the window is fully loaded, do this stuff. So I made my drop-down stuff into a function, and then I can call that function whenever I like. So I'm going to take this part, copy that, and we're going to add this to my load event listener that I already have in the page. So am I going to the right one? Not going to the right one. That's the right one. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. We're going to drop it in here. So, and you can put this in snippets plugin, JavaScript post, whatever the snippet stuff does. This is in my child theme. I'm doing all this in my child theme, but all of it can be placed in snippets plugins. I mean, the styling can be placed in the WordPress default styling. The place in the customizer where you can add your own styles. Scripts, yeah, that will require a plugin. Yeah, you can't add custom JavaScript without a plugin or a child theme, or a custom theme for that matter. But we're using GeneratePress and GenerateBlocks, so we have a child theme. So now I need to go up here to my event, my window load event listener, and make sure this function is being called. So down these others, activate big drop downs. What I call it? Is that it? I don't remember what I called it. Activate big drop down. Okay, that's not it. Activate big drop down. There it is. Okay, so now that is going to run this function when the page loads, and it's going to do all this stuff. I don't know if I'm going to go through this line by line. Essentially, first we're checking to see that the browser supports using the template element, knows what it is. We're grabbing some elements, the primary menu. We're checking for the existence of a big drop-down class. And if that class doesn't exist, then just cancel out of this. Don't do any more, because if these don't exist, there's no need in running all this other stuff. If it does exist, it's going to come down here and grab some other elements. Big drop-down template, the masthead has big drop-down menu toggle. These two are GeneratePress elements that already exist. And then we're going to say for each template that exists, and we're about to put those into, we're going to inject them into the site. It's saying do this stuff. And essentially what this part does, this for each, just this bit right here, it's going through every template that we've added, these big drop-down templates that we've snagged here, and it's going to do all the stuff. First, it's going to look for the ID, which that's that identifier, that mega menu 1, and it's going to loop through all of the big drop-downs. Big drop-downs up here that we grabbed. So remember, we assigned a big drop-down class to the submenu item in our menu under appearance in WordPress. And it's going to go through and it's going to clone the template contents that we're about to build into the contents of that submenu item. And I'll show you how that works. And then this other bit, yeah, I'm not going to go through, but it basically a mutation observer is a great JavaScript tool. It's kind of hard to get your head around. It lets you watch an element and watch for changes. So when a class is added or removed, or something changes about it, you can have it trigger something. And this is where we're doing our magic as far as, we're going for that SF hover. That's that suckerfish drop down that is still being used in GeneratePress to add our ARIA attributes, to add some classes, to remove some classes. Yeah, here's a big drop down open. Yeah, so that this is where the kind of the heavy stuff is happening, as far as opening and closing and making sure everything is jiving correctly. But anyway, essentially, not essentially, ideally, this is doing everything for you. You won't have to fiddle with this. You just drop it in and it'll work. Can't make any guarantees, and I honestly can't provide support for this. But if it's not working for some reason, let me know and I'll do my best to help. Anyway, so that's that. Now we need to do one more thing, and you can put this in your functions.php. I have a little space. Is this where I did this? Ooh, I thought I already did this in this file. Let me check something over here. I must have done this somewhere else. Did I do it in the functions? I did. Okay, well, that's okay. We'll do it in the function. In my child theme, I have a GenerateBlocks include. So see down here. There it is. Yeah, okay. Well, never mind. I'm not going to get into it. That's for another video. So we'll just include it in our functions file, but I'm going to go back to our gist. And now we're going to snag the PHP part. And that is the part that lets us add. You know what? I think I only need this bit. Yep. Because I already have another one in there from a previous video. Let's go back up here. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys remember in the photo gallery with captions video I did last, we had to add a figure element to the loop item block in GenerateBlocks. But right now, we want to go through and say, okay, if we've injected, or not injected, good grief, inserted a GenerateBlocks element like a container, we're going to go through the metadata that GeneratePress is adding to that block, and we're going to say, hey, for that tag name, throw in template as an option. So that's what that's going to do. Okay, so now we're done with the code. We can move on to GenerateBlocks. And let's see. So yeah, so we got mega menu. Big drop down, mega menu 1. So we told the parent item, you need to have a class of has big drop down, and then this first drop down item is big drop down with an extra class of mega menu 1. So we need to remember that. And now let's go to elements. And so here's where I was playing around with the block, and I wasn't getting much love, but we're gonna go ahead and use this because a lot of it's already built, and it is pitiful, but it's okay. So here's what we're gonna do. I think this will work. So we get this. So we need to put this in yet another container. Okay, so I'm going to rename all this stuff. I love renaming my stuff. HTML template mega menu 1. Okay. And we're just going to call this mega menu 1. And this is the inner container. We'll just call it that. Inner container. And that's our grid. That's okay. That's fine. Let's give a little more space. So this is a grid item. So we need to go to the grid layout, and we're going to get down here to the column gap and the row gap. And I want to. We're not going to worry about that. So I'm not going to go through all the styling. Like, this is going to be kind of pitiful looking, but you'll get the idea. Yeah, just because I'm trying to give you the means to do it. As far as the design stuff, I'm going to do some design videos. I really want to do some. I mean, I am a designer, and I love that aspect of it as well. But yeah, this is just for the build portion. Yeah, we'll leave that as it is. Okay. We're not going to put any links in it just yet because there's one small caveat, or somewhat small. Let's go back to our element, and instead of a custom hook, we're going to put it in the footer, because this is going to be a template, and it's not going to show up in the view. It's just going to be in the markup. And I'm looking at my cheat page because we have to assign a couple of other class names. I think this one we have to assign an ID. So here's where we're going to tell this template needs to have, whoops, I'm in the wrong, this template, which is not a template yet. It's actually a div, but look at there. There's our template element. And whoosh, it disappears because a template element is not visible. So you do have to do some switching back and forth when you're editing, but that's, I don't think that's a too big of a deal. So here's where we give this thing an ID. I'm sorry, not a class. Good grief. Cut and paste. It needs to have an ID. So this is a unique identifier just for this element. It is a template. It's going to be a template, meaning that it is going to be a bit of HTML that is hanging out in our markup, ready to be used whenever we call to it from JavaScript. And as I'm waiting on my cheat site to load, let's see. And I think we have to give this we have another template class as well. Yeah, okay. So big drop down template. I do need some more documentation of this. And this is our identifier. So let's jump back over to the code real quick. Ooh, okay, so our function, yeah. So big drop down is what we assign to our child menu item. Here, let me go ahead and, well, you know what? Let's just see if it works real quick before I start running my mouth. Let's get to the moment of truth. Let's save. Oh, and I've set it to appear on the entire site. That's important. Okay, hold our breath. Boom, we have a mega menu. So now you have an element, GeneratePress element it's built in GenerateBlocks that you can go in and edit. And what's happening here? Let's see. Let's look in the markup. So here is our parent element that has big drop down class. And I am going to jump over here so we can take a look. I think this helps, or it helps me understand. And I know I'll forget it and have to look at it again, but So here's our about menu item, and we assigned it a class of has big dropdown. So it assigns it to the list element. So primary menu is an unordered list, that UL, unordered list. And each item within is just a list element. So we assigned ours has big dropdown. And that's telling our stuff that we've added, our CSS and our JavaScript, to be on the lookout, because this thing has a big dropdown menu item as its child element. And then the dropdown is another list item. I'm sorry, a nested unordered list with a class of submenu. This is all default stuff that GeneratePress does, maybe WordPress does. But here's the first list element that we added that, remember, had dropdown in it, and it's been removed. And in its place has been inserted, because we gave it a class of big dropdown. So we targeted it with our JavaScript. We gave it a unique, well, it's a class name, but it went and grabbed it, our template, and replaced the contents of that list item with our mega menu. If we scroll all the way down here, we should see there's our template. Big drop down template with an ID of mega menu 1 and the contents of it, this fragment. There you see it. That is our GeneratePress element. And our JavaScript has cloned it, the contents of it, this part right here, and dropped it in and replaced the contents of our big drop down list item with the contents of the mega menu. And it is, let's see, I can use the escape key to close it. I can tab through, hit enter, it opens it. Oh, there are no lists. So there are no links in here, so I can't tab through to show you how they work. Escape. But here comes the caveat. So let's go back, and I'm going to save that. Let's go back and look at, did I make that clear? So we gave it a class of mega menu 1. That's the template. I'm sorry, no. That is the drop-down element. So that we gave it a class of big drop-down. We're telling it, this is where I want that big drop-down to appear. This is the name of the mega menu, or the whatever, the contents, the element ID name of the template that I want you to put within this big drop-down. So that mega menu 1 has to match up with a template with the ID of mega menu 1. And I know that's ID matching the class. That's a little wonky, but it works without having to hijack any more of the way WordPress or GeneratePress works. So now if we take a look, we go back to elements, and let's add some links to our mega menu. And here's where a little bit of the rub comes in. Okay, so I'm going to switch it back to a div so we can see it. And let's add a button. And I want to get rid of all the stuff. Okay, maybe we don't add a button because I don't want all the junk with it. But you know what? I can show you that anyway because it's a good lesson. Okay, so now we have a button. Now let's just add a link. Let's do can I do another container? Yeah, let's see. Let's add a container. We're going to call it nav list. And we're going to make it an unordered list. And within it, we're going to put a text element And we're going to make it a list element. Look at that. It already needs, let's do some margin underneath that so it pushes that to rim. Yeah. Okay. Nav item 1. Bah. Okay. Back. Nope. Yep. Let's duplicate. Wait, I need to use my keyboard shortcuts. So Control Shift D. Control Shift D. D. Yeah, we'll do 3. That's fine. And we'll call that 2 and this 3. And let's add some links. And we're just going to use the hash because we're just doing this for an example. Okay. Okay. I'm going to leave that as is. We're going to save. Oh, we're at 30 minutes, 31 minutes. I'm sorry it takes so long. I really wish I could do these shorter. I need to learn to edit. I need to take the time to edit. Oh, yikes. Did I kill? Oh, oh, I didn't switch it back to a template. Template. Yep. Okay. Do have to remember to do that. Okay. Here is the caveat. What the? Oh, I wonder if there's something crazy going on with. Okay. Well, this is a good lesson. So the only roadblock with this method is that everything in your new mega menu inherits the styling from the primary navigation. So your button is just a link. So it is going to inherit the styling of main navigation, main nav, and then a nested UL element. You can see the specificity here, that 024. The best way around this is you're going to have to create some new classes that are more specific than this. Or you can go into the customizer and you can tweak your submenu settings a bit to make this better. Now this, oh, okay. That's interesting. Just a second. Let me check on something. Yeah, it was as I feared. And I can't believe I hadn't run across this yet. I had not set up a list. So what's happening is here's the styling from GeneratePress for their submenu items. And it's got a lot of these things that are hiding the submenu stuff until you hover over it. So that's a problem. And that's something that would have to be worked out if, say, you want to include an unordered list. I guess you could do like an ordered list and see if that would fix things. Let's take a look real quick. I guess that's it is acceptable for navigation. You know, you get into some accessibility stuff. Yeah, so now it just has big numbers, but you can style that to get around it. And I won't go into great detail about how to get around this, but just to show you kind of the way I would approach it and the way I've kind of tinkered with it in my testing. So what I would do is I would start by giving these classes. So whereas this is a standard section, even from the what is it, the site library. Like I was playing around a lot with that, and I have mixed feelings about it. That's another video. I do appreciate that they do that for us, but it styles things in a way that maybe I wouldn't do it. But anyway, that's why my videos are so long, because I get distracted. Let's just create a GPC big DD, big drop down. You know what? We'll leave it at that. Or does it need to be? No, we'll leave it at that. Okay. I'm not going to assign anything to it yet. And then for the inner, we're going to do GPC, and GPC is GeneratePress child. That's I prefix all my stuff with that. BDD inner using the BIM, and I forget what that stands for. I'm not going to assign anything to that. And I might even, yeah, we can do that. GPC BDD. Inner grid. Is that how I would do it? Or can I just call it grid? I like to keep it short, but I like it to make sense too. Yeah, we'll just do that. So, okay. Now, let's see. I'll do copy. So now to get around the CSS specificity, which is because it's still picking up some of that. Yeah, with one, which that's okay. That's not so bad. Is it the font size that it's picking up? There we well, yeah. Because this is still a an unordered list within an unordered list. Because of unordered list within an unordered list. So let's just say this nav list, GPC unordered list nav. I'm gonna whip up a quick class, and we'll just leave it blank. Typography. Is that no list? List type none, and we might have to. I'm trying just to clear out some of this styling. Margin bottom. Oh yeah, I do. That's fine. Oh, margin 1.53. So we'll go up here. At least that margin on the left will set to 0. And notice that I haven't even turned it back on yet. I'm just applying styles. Okay, let's save that. Let's take a look. And then I'm going to show you one more thing. We'll call it quits because I'm almost, this is going to be 45 minutes before I finish. I guess this is a fairly big one. There's a lot of steps. Okay, we kind of got rid. Okay, so see that it is the A element. Okay, it's inheriting this line height, this padding, and the font size from main navigation, main nav. These are styles within GeneratePress that are being applied via the customizer. Because remember, you get to style. Okay, yeah, and I'm going to make it longer, but I think you know what I'm talking about. If I go to Appearance and Customize, and we go to, and for some reason, I can't activate it via the, I guess because the JavaScript is not being loaded into the admin. So the customizer can't see it. So if I go to layout and I go to secondary navigation, it's inheriting this stuff. So you could technically no. Sub menu. Okay. So this is the primary navigation menu item, width, height. Okay, sub menu. So I guess you could just delete that. Will it let you do that? I haven't even tried this. I don't know. I guess it kind of did. Okay, it still has, I guess that's like a default. Because I didn't think that was, maybe it picks it up. Oh, it's inheriting it. Well, no, that's still a nested unordered list. I don't know. Maybe that's a default that it has to have. Let's see. And if I go to typography, and I go to primary submenu items, font family, okay, font size. Can I do, I know you can do revert or unset. And I can't remember which. And it's tricky too, in and of itself. Okay, so now it's going to be, see, that's taking on that font size. So now the font size is taking on, yep, body stuff. Yep. Okay, so we did kind of reset it, and we should be able to style it now. So we did publish that. Or I say that. Where did that revert get applied? Okay, so that creates another problem. So maybe that's not the way to go. But regardless of that, let me show you real quick. And maybe this is an entirely additional video just for some CSS stuff that would be good to look at. Because, hey, we all have to deal with CSS. The way I might handle it, if I had to style my links and stuff and override some of the things that it was inheriting from this navigation, would be to use some styling that's a bit more specific than what you're seeing here. So basically we need to get, so that's a 024. So we need either a 030, think of it like decimal places, or a 025, something like that. So we're going to use our class names, because class names are more specific than an element name. So we're going to go all the way here to our GPC BDD, and we're going to create a new selector. And just to remind myself, so there's that BDD. So we're going to snag this inner. So let's do a dot for class selector, and then a space, and let's grab the grid. Dot grid, and then that, and then an A. I think that will be specific enough. So now we can say, maybe make the font size 0.9 rem. We're going to make it a teeny bit smaller, and we're affecting the A. So let's change the color to blue, and maybe let's see if we can affect the padding. Hopefully we can. So let's do padding of 0.25 rim, 0.25 rim, and 0. And I'm going to cross my fingers. We're at 45 minutes. Holy cow. Yay, that worked. Okay, so that is more specific. Oh, we got all the way up to a 4. So maybe we overdid it a bit. Yeah, but anyway, you get the idea. You're going to have to create all these nested, or I'd say nested, but like deeper selectors. I don't know what the terminology is, to overcome, even for the button, to overcome the inherited styling from the navigation. So that's that. I'm going to leave it there. Sorry that took so long. I hope this helps some people. This gives you another means of creating a mega menu without having to turn to yet another plugin. It is a bit of scripting. Sorry about that. But hey, it's all learning. And, I'll try to always include comments because I'm still learning too. JavaScript's still voodoo and wizardry to me in many cases. Um, Gosh, so is CSS. I mean, for that matter, specificity is a booger to overcome sometimes. But I hope that helps. I have some more things planned. Hopefully, another video by Friday. Sorry, I missed last Friday. Um, I'm also going to always continue, and I'll always be using GeneratePress and GenerateBlocks, but I want to dive into some more PHP kind of stuff. And I know I've been struggling to build a advanced custom fields block that uses a layout provided by GenerateBlocks. But you know what? Sometimes it's just not possible. And, I don't think that should stop us from diving in and digging deeper into PHP and into JavaScript and CSS and some other fun stuff. And I also have some design things planned, but, you know, it's all a work in progress. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. Like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. Man, I appreciate everybody. Uh, Please keep leaving comments, ask questions. Let me know of other stuff that you'd like to see. Um, I've always felt like this is more of a building channel, like we're learning to make things. Of course, design is a part of that, not just in the way it functions and the way we put it together, but also in the way it looks. And obviously, I need to give some love to that. But here's hoping to see you guys Friday, and have a great week.